Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome to All Things Superman, where we simply talk about everything related to Superman, from comics to TV shows to movies and much, much more. So, we got a big piece of news on yesterday evening, and that news is none other than the character Cyborg has now been cast and is now joining the ranks of the new Man of Steel 2 movie, or Batman vs. Superman, as it's affectionately known. Now, the person who they've cast to play this character, Cyborg, the guy's name is Ray Fisher. So we're going to talk a little bit about that casting today, get you all's opinion. I'll give you mine, as we usually do. Let's talk about it objectively and see where we go from there. Now, before everybody jumps to all of these conclusions and gets bent out of shape and start talking about how overcrowded this movie now is seeming and how it's becoming a Justice League movie and all of that, before you get to griping and complaining about all of that stuff, please understand that most likely, Cyborg will not be in Man of Steel 2 or Batman vs. Superman. He will probably be Victor Stone, and they'll be setting him up for Justice League when it comes out. So I doubt we get the character Cyborg in this movie. He'll just be the person who's going to become Cyborg, and the guy's name is Victor Stone. Now, if you're not familiar with him, Victor Stone, or if you're not familiar with the Cyborg character altogether, let me give you a little bit of history on him. What happens is Victor Stone is a guy, basically his parents work at Star Labs, and they're scientists or whatever, and they do these experiments. Long story short, they do an experiment on their son that gives him some kind of intelligence and stuff like this, all this kind of stuff. But all of that being said, what happens, Victor goes to visit his parents at work one day at Star Labs, and there's this big thing that happens where on this experiment that his dad is trying to do, and this monster comes from another dimension or something like that and basically kills his mother and mutilates him at the same time. So Cyborg Victor Stone is kind of like messed up. He's pretty much gone, his body. So his father, to try to fix him and to try to save him, basically gives him these prosthetics that are cybernetic. So basically, if that story sounds familiar to you, it's basically RoboCop. I think this is basically where RoboCop gets their story from, this character of Cyborg, because it sounds kind of like the same thing that happened in RoboCop. So that's a little history on the character Cyborg. Now, that being said, it's kind of not a big surprise that we're getting Cyborg in this new movie, because there was basically an Easter egg in Man of Steel that suggested Star Labs. If you remember, the doctor, I believe his name was Dr. Hamilton, the scientist that was in Man of Steel, he was said to work for Star Labs. So the reference for Star Labs was already set up, and from that Easter egg, everybody had already kind of put together that Cyborg would eventually be a part of at least the next Man of Steel or the Justice League or whatever, because they put Star Labs in there. So that's, it's not that big of a surprise to us that Victor Stone or Cyborg is going to be in this movie at all. Now, I gotta say that the choice to put Cyborg in this movie is a very interesting choice, and it brings some questions up, and it also lets us know a few things about what's going on with the DC Cinematic Universe. A lot of people are still griping and complaining about them not keeping up with Marvel, and Marvel is putting out all of these movies, and DC is falling behind and all this kind of stuff, and basically that DC doesn't have a plan to expand their universe and all of this kind of stuff. Well, guys, now that you think about it, this says that they have a plan. The fact that we have Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, and now Cyborg in this movie says that they have a plan to move forward with some cinematic movies, some comic book movies, and namely the people who they are putting in Man of Steel 2 or Batman vs. Superman. So don't sleep on DC, guys, and don't sleep on Warner Brothers. I think they kind of have their plan, and they're moving forward, and they're not scared to show up now. A lot of people have still been complaining about, this whole, like, they just won't do anything, and, they won't give us these movies. But now they're putting these characters in this new Batman Superman movie to let us know that they're, I think, expanding this universe and that we can expect in the future to see some Justice League movies. We can expect to, you know, if it works out with Man of Steel 2, that we're going to get a Wonder Woman movie and some of these, you know, other character standalone movies. So yeah, I just wanted to put that out there. Don't sleep on DC and Warner Brothers, because this again says a lot about what they're trying to do. Now, the other thing that this brings up is the question of The Rock, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. As we know, just recently he got cast, or there's still some speculation of who he was going to play in this DC cinematic universe, because he's now been contracted by DC and Warner Brothers in some form or fashion that nobody really knows yet. And a lot of people were kind of speculating that it was Cyborg. I kind of figured that it wasn't, because Cyborg, the character is a young character. If you don't know about Cyborg, again, he was actually a part of the Teen Titans in the comic book. So I figured that they were going to go with somebody that was younger for Cyborg. Now, kind of off subject, I really do think that, and the reason you'll see me wearing this, you know, this Flash shirt today, is because I think that that's who actually The Rock is going to play. It's either going to be, for me, it's either going to be the Flash or he's going to be Shazam. I don't really know which one I hope it to be. I think Shazam could be really, really, really cool done in the movie. But then again, he's a lot like Superman. So I'm not sure how that would play in the movie. And then plus Flash is a more established member of the Justice League. So to me, it would make more sense for them to put Flash in here, have The Rock play him. I think The Rock would make a really, really good Flash. The Rock would make a good anything that you put him in. So I'm anxious to see how that's going to work out. Now, the other interesting point or topic that this actually brings up is the fact that I actually think that they're going with the more recent version of the Justice League as it was known in the comic books in more recent years. And the reason is because Cyborg didn't become a member of the Justice League. Actually, he became a founding member of the Justice League in the comic books in 2011. So if they're spawning this new Batman-Superman movie into a Justice League, I'm sure that they're going to make the people in this movie, you know, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, and now Victor Stone or whomever, the founders of, you know, the Justice League. So that's the more recent version of how the Justice League got started, which means that it could open up the door for a lot more of the more recent characters that we've seen in the comics and that we've known Justice League comics to put out. Not namely just the core characters of Flash and Wonder Woman and Aquaman and all of that. There were some more recent characters that were part of this Justice League. So again, it's going to be really, really interesting to see where this new Batman-Superman movie, how it's going to lead us into the Justice League movie, or even if it's going to lead us into the Justice League movie. We know it will some kind of way, but we may get, you know, between Man of Steel 2 or Batman versus Superman, and between that and Justice League, we may get a standalone movie from Wonder Woman. Who knows? I guess it all depends on how Superman Batman plays out. Now, on to the casting of Ray Fisher. Let's discuss him for a minute. So if you're not familiar with him, don't be surprised, because most people aren't. He's a relatively new name. He's best known now for the theater play Fetch Clay, Make Man, in which he played the character of Muhammad Ali. I actually saw a little bit of the play. I didn't see the whole the actual stage play, but I saw a few clips on it. And what I got from him, he seems to be a pretty good actor. You can always kind of tell, or at least I can always tell or judge, you know, how good an actor really is by what you can kind of see on their face, and if they can express, you know, the emotions of what they're trying to say in their face. If their face says it, that's really good acting to me. So thus, people like Michael Fassbender, they win, you know, Academy Awards and stuff like that, because, you know, Michael Fassbender in 12 Years a Slave, you could see, like, the hatred and the racism and stuff on his face. So, you know, that's good acting to me. So same thing with this Ray Fisher guy. He seems to have that. Now, again, we don't have really much to kind of look at a body of work and say he's a good actor or he's a bad actor. I really do think it's interesting. It's very interesting that that Zack Snyder and David Goyer are going with a theater actor for this. I actually kind of really appreciate that, and I really, really like that. That means that they've been doing some really, really good research, and I'm guessing this guy's name probably came up. Hey, you guys need to take a look at this guy, and usually that's what happens where a lot of these guys become stars. I mean, people like Tom Hanks. That's how his career got started. With the movie Splash. He was basically a comedian before that movie, stand-up comedian, and he had somebody say, "Hey, you might want to check out this guy. This may be your guy for the act, for the lead character in this movie," because he wasn't even actually supposed to play the lead character in the movie Splash. He was up for I think the brother, the part that John Candy played. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. But anyway, that's the way a lot of these guys' careers get started. So there are a lot of unheard of, very extremely talented actors and stuff that do theater that I think that will translate really, really well on the big screen. And so I really appreciate the fact that they went with a relatively unknown theater actor for this part. So guys, that being said, about Ray Fisher, there's not really much to say about him as to at least to whether or not he will be a good cyborg or not, or whether or not he can fit well into this role. I'm always the optimistic, objective guy who will say, okay, yeah, let's go with it, and let's see how he does, and then judge him on his own merits by the way he portrays this character. Really, one good thing about this, Cyborg character, unlike Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman, is that, this is basically the first TV or screen movie incarnation that we're going to see of this character. And not even a lot of people know about Cyborg, period. So, Ray Fisher now has the opportunity to kind of start fresh and establish this character and who he's going to be, kind of the same way that Robert Downey Jr. did with Iron Man. Iron Man was basically relatively unknown to most people until Robert Downey Jr. gave him an embodiment. He gave him a life. He gave him character. He gave him meaning. So now, when we picture Iron Man, we picture, Robert Downey Jr. And I think the same thing could happen with, a character like Cyborg, because we don't know any of his characteristics. Or at least most of the majority of the movie-going audience does not even know of Cyborg, how he got started, where he comes from. So, I mean, they could even play with the story a whole lot. It's so much that they could branch out and do the same way they did with Iron Man. So, again, guys, not much left to say about Ray Fisher. Of course, I'm naturally a little bit biased because he has the same last name as I do. So, go cousin. This is my cousin. This is going to be Cyborg. So, of course, I'm happy. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. But other than that, there's really not much to say about him. I wish him well. I hope he does a magnificent job as Cyborg. I hope we see him. Hope we see a Cyborg that can, kick some butt. Especially now that, like I told you earlier in the video, that, he's basically the same as RoboCop. And we saw, if you saw the movie RoboCop, the new one that just came out this year, it was actually a pretty good movie. So I think that opened the door for, a character like Cyborg now to be in a movie. So I'm really interested to see how they're going to play that out. All right, so guys, just on a side note, I want to say something that's kind of really been bugging me about, a lot of this talk about, the Marvel Universe versus the DC Universe, and, how DC Universe sucks and how Marvel is the greatest and all of this kind of stuff. Now, a lot of this comes from, a lot of discussion now online, a lot of movie talk, a lot of, people are putting up channels about movies and discussing movies just as I am. And, there are a lot of strong opinions about people. And, just as with anything, people take sides and say, what they like more. The honest to God truth, guys, is here's the thing. I don't care whether or not it's DC or Marvel or, Blaze Comics, whoever it is, whatever comic book movie, whatever character that we get. At the end of the day, we all want to see a great movie, a great embodiment of a character. I don't care if it's a superhero. I don't care if it's a military movie. I don't care if it's a horror movie, whatever the case may be. We all really just, at the end of the day, want to see a really, really good movie. And that's what it comes down to. So with that being said, guys, I want you to kind of start thinking for yourself a little bit and not just join these bandwagons and say that, oh, I'm a Marvel fan. Oh, I'm a DC fan. And, Superman sucks and Batman sucks and, Hulk smash and I'm Hulk. I mean, it's a never ending argument, guys. I mean, and only thing that happens is, I mean, you'll see it all the time. Basically, you're repeating what somebody else has said. All of this stuff about, you know, these characters or these movies being overcrowded. That's like the new terminology now for movies. Like nobody was ever even saying anything like that a year or two ago. Overcrowded. Like every single movie has 15, 20, 30 characters in it. Now all of a sudden you got Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, and now Cyborg in the movie. It's overcrowded. You know, same thing with X-Men, Days of Future Past is coming out. Now we got all these X-Men characters. Now it's overcrowded. This doesn't even make sense, guys. Most of the time, if you're the person who's saying that, you're just repeating what you heard somebody else say, and it has no merit. So, again, that's kind of my soapbox, but I just want to encourage you all just to start thinking, you know, for yourself. Judge stuff on its own merits. You know, watch the movie, figure out what the purpose that the director was trying to, you know, get across in the movie. See if it came across in the movie. You can still like or dislike, you know, whatever you want to do, because that's, you know, up to your taste of whether or not you like or dislike something. But don't just start repeating everything that somebody says, you know, oh my God, this is, you know, I don't like Iron Man because, you know, such and such said they didn't like it. Or, you know, I'm a Man of Steel fan because, you know, you're a Marvel fan. I mean, it's just like this versus thing that just goes crazy. The whole DC versus Marvel thing is pretty much a made-up concept. Now, of course, that being said, everything is always competitive in the movie industry. So yes, Warner Brothers has, you know, they know their market. They know that they have some competition out there, and their competition just so happens to be a company who's making Marvel movies, you know, Sony and all of these kind of people who are making movies that are turning out pretty good. Comic book movies. So yes, if you get into the comic book audience and the market and all that kind of stuff, you'll have that competition. But other than that, it's just just some kind of made up theory. So anyway, I just wanted to express that to you all before we ended the video today. All right, guys. So with that being said, I'll end the video here. Make sure you jump down and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at this link right here in the video. Let me know what you think about the Ray Fisher choice of playing Cyborg, and let me know what you think about them adding Cyborg to the movie as a whole. Let's jump down in the comment section. Let's, you know, converse about it as we normally do, and let's talk about this decision and see where we're, you know, going with this whole Batman Superman movie. Because at the time of the filming of this video, I believe there just started their rumors going around that basically Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck and Gal Gadot are in Michigan right now and doing screen tests and stuff for the movie. So, you know, with that being said, there's going to be a lot of news coming out about this movie, namely the bat suit and the, you know, Wonder Woman suit and the new Superman suit. We'll probably see that soon. So I'll be making some more videos. So basically, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Go do that now. Again, follow me on Twitter at this link. And until then, I'll see you guys in the next video.